Okay, so you've been to Tuscany before. Chances are you've already visited Florence, Pisa, Siena, San Gimignano, Lucca, and the unofficial areas of Chianti, the Val d'Orcia, and maybe even the Crater Senesi. But the memory of it all has you, and rightly so. You want to visit again, but what else is there to do? Turns out there's quite a lot. There are over 110 hill towns and villages we have discovered on the map that I would like to visit. To date, we've visited maybe 35. In addition, there are little beauty spots and other places of note to uncover. In this video, I've compiled a list of places to visit should you find yourself returning to Tuscany. And if you are on an extended stay, by all means visit these places anyway. Now, here are a couple of caveats. Candidates for this list have only come out from places we have visited. I wouldn't feel confident or justified in picking out everyone else's top attractions as, plagiarism aside, you've probably seen them all already. So in this video you won't see Cortona, Monte Argentario, Saturnia, Elba, or the Tufa towns of the Maremma. Maybe someday in a similar compilation video in the future. A car. You really need one. Buses will take you so far and wide, but a car will just blow Tuscany wide open for exploration. My experience goes back to April 2018, but I only started vlogging in earnest a year and a half ago, so not everything will have video footage, but I have many photos. Apologies in advance. No Volterra. Yeah, I know, you've already seen me rabbit on about Volterra in a couple of dozen other videos on this channel. Finally, this is not a list in order of any merit, purely alphabetical. I will link a ton of stuff in the description box below, where to eat, park, etc. All that said, let's begin. Fancy visiting a centuries-old Cistercian church and surroundings so beautiful that it hosts many weddings every year? Sure, Holy Cross Abbey in Ireland, where Neve and I were married incidentally, is in better condition, but you can't always get the weather in Tipperary. Maybe you're in the market for a place to have your big day out. There is a little museum section that opens into the main ruin for a small price. Every glance is photo-worthy. A little ways away you'll find an agriturismo with a fine restaurant, and a little farther afield is the town of Custino, which we haven't visited yet, in which you can dine or explore. But what is truly unique about visiting here is the Chapel of San Galgano, which lies atop a small hill to the north. Inside is an artefact world famous in legend, a sword in the stone, but the Tuscan version. It is said to date back to the late 12th century. There's a large car park nearby it all, and a visit there is certainly something out of the ordinary. Located on a hill about 14 kilometers from the coast in central West Tuscany, Casale Marittimo is one of the most beautiful villages we have visited. In fact, it's my favourite. Its central square is a pretty hub of a myriad of ramped lanes and alleys, made all the more atmospheric by its lack of touristic pretension. This is a genuine lived-in place for all its allure though. The town is in layers and exploration of it will give you a decent enough workout. At the south end of town you'll be able to see over the Tuscan coastal plains, while centrally you get better views of both the plains and the classic rolling hills of Val di Cecina. There's a good free car park here too. We've always been able to find a spot there. Querceto is a tiny hamlet about 13 kilometers east of Casale, which seems to have been a converted castle or fortress. The roads to it are a little narrow but still asphalt. It won't take you long to explore, but there's a lovely opportunity to catch a bit of solitude amidst the more forested hills of this area. You'll marvel at the simple beauty of the terraced rows of houses and the ivy-covered palazzo in the centre. Here's a day trip idea. Hit Querceto by the mid-morning, explore, and then at around 11 go for a degustation of wines, book in advance, and then head to Casale Marittimo for a lunch around 1:30 and burn off the calories with an explore of the town. Alternatively, reverse the two, go to Casale at 1:30, have lunch and an explore, and then head off to Querceto for a degustation from 4. From a Casale to a Casole. This time it's Casole d'Elsa, an artist's haven in the Val d'Elsa about 45-minute drive from Siena. At its base is a paid car park, which is a short stroll to the stairs to the town proper. Casole d'Elsa is one of those rare hill towns that is also accessibility friendly, as an elevator is available to transfer you up and down from town to street. If you take that way in, you will immediately notice that there are sculptures everywhere. Perhaps some are temporary, but others have certainly been there for some time. Bronze couples sit in silence about the town, and if you stumble down one of the narrow lanes, you'll find a statue of a man relieving himself outdoors. Other residential lanes have painted tiles and other works of art decorating the walls of houses, and they even get their kids involved in this. And there are a couple of galleries to explore, and maybe from which to buy your own memorable piece. Because piracy was rampant centuries ago, most towns you'll find along the Tuscan coast are reasonably modern, with many so-called coastal towns having been built somewhat inland on top of hills. Not so Castiglione della Pescaia, which has an old town quarter converted from an ancient fortress. It also is a new modern-day town and some lovely beaches and marinas. From the higher old town, you can get a cracking view of the gently curving coast for miles heading south. Sunbathe, swim, explore, walk along the coast, and have your choice of eating in an old town setting or by a modern promenade. This is more of a day trip suggestion rather than a single area. Each deserves its own entry, but if you enjoy food and pampering yourself, then this little trio of borghi is for you. They are separated end to end by only 17 kilometres of driving, so if you're looking for a low stress thing to do, you've just found it. Starting in Lari, have an explore of this lovely little hamlet, the focus of which is built around its reputedly haunted fortified castle. Then visit the small factory of one of Italy's most renowned pasta makers, the Martelli family, and enjoy a short tour of their facility. A number of restaurants will serve you Martelli pasta for your lunch there. Take the weight off your feet in Casciana Terme, the spa town which lies a little south of Lari. After enjoying a short walk of its old small town area, book yourself into the centrally located wellness centre for pampering, a massage or a swim, or simply enjoy a drink on the terrace by the main town square. Finally, onwards to the foodie town of Chianni. An explorer of the centre of this lovely village is a must with its hodgepodge lanes and hidden courtyards, before settling into dinner at one of the fine traditional restaurants. Hopefully, before or after dinner, depending on the time of year, you'll catch a dramatic sunset or a commanding view of the Val di Cecina. The city of crystal has so much going for it. Not only is it famous for its cut glass crystal, but there's just so much else to do. The old part of town is on a tapered ridge and is a must visit to explore. Wander its shops and narrow lanes and, if it's working, grab the elevator down to the newer part of town for another explore, or to go shopping or grab some lunch in many of its eateries. The Museum of Crystal can be found there should you want to investigate further the town's most famous product. Go there on Friday mornings to experience one of the largest typical Italian markets we've ever seen. The stalls sprawl all over the newer town area, and in it you'll find clothes, electrics, toys, games, bedware, kitchenware, cookware, and of course food, both ingredients and cooks, ready to take away. We honestly were blown away by the size of it all. On the comfort and relaxation front, there is a river park where you can chill and have a dip, and Colle boasts Arnolfo, a 2 Michelin-starred restaurant if you fancy a stunning meal in remarkably modern settings. Getting to Colle is quite easy. It's just off the Florence-Siena autostradale. Free parking can be found on the north side of the ridge with the old town. It requires a bit of a climb up there though. There are also paid car parks dotted around the new town too. Definitely put Colle di Val on your map. It's hugely undervisited by tourists and it's a special place. Are you travelling with people who have varying holiday wants and needs? Well, this is the trip idea that should satisfy both your beach bunnies and your culture vultures. The Golfo di Baratti is a natural curved inlet on the Mediterranean, 10 kilometres north of the port town of Piombino. It has a lengthy strand of golden sand and is very popular with the Tuscans. It is almost tropical looking with azure waters and border of pines up and down the entire stretch. It's not in a built-up area, so there is something of a lack of amenities nearby, the occasional bar or two set up on the beach. So, with the lack of rental spaces at Lidi, you will be better off taking all your own beach paraphernalia. There are paid car parks too. Note that, like with pretty much any coastal Tuscan destination, it may be wise to avoid it in August unless you get up super early to grab a spot. At the southern end of the Gulf, atop a cliff, lies the hamlet of Populonia, an old Etruscan town, now in more modern times converted from a fortress. The place is cute and won't take long to explore. There's a tower you can pay to climb up to grab some amazing views of the Tuscan coastline. There's a paid car park beside it, and beside that again is something for all Italian history buffs, a massive archaeological park to explore. Rumour also has it there are pathways in the nearby forest that will lead to secluded rocky beaches for some intimate sunbathing and swimming. The downsides? There aren't many dining options, and again it gets super busy in August, but it's a gem of a place that can command a few hours of your free time. I like Florence and I love Siena. but in the past couple of years, Livorno has rapidly become one of my favourite cities to visit. I think of it as a hot Dublin. Being a port town and, like Dublin, it is also comprised of 50% glamour and 50% grime. Some of it is a little shabby looking, particularly around the docks, but it compares wonderfully with the promenade, most notably the hugely fun aquarium and the dazzling Terrazza Mascagni. Inland and northeast of it, you'll find the hippodrome-shaped Piazza della Repubblica, by which flows the mini canal system in Livorno. Here we'll find a quarter that is becoming more and more popular with tourists. There's a public park and an old fortress to discover, lovely walks by the waterside, the Via Grande, a street of shopping, and of course, one of the best features of all, the enormous daily food market, which is open every day except Sunday until the early afternoon. That alone is worth a visit. Boat trips are also available along the canals too, along with some of the best seafood the region has to offer. Do yourselves a favour and check out a different shade of Tuscan City. Across the valley from Volterra there lies a village topped by a tower which can be seen halfway around the valley. It is the old mining town of Montecatini Val di Cecina. There are three parts to it really. One, the small charming main square in which you can do a little shopping, food mostly, drinking and eating. Two, the gorgeous old residential area which is a must-see. Alleys and mini courtyards abound as you navigate through the village. The tower is unfortunately on private ground, but there are a couple of amazing viewpoints back across the valley towards Volterra, plus the more panoramic view for the taller of you in the walled Campo Santo Vecchio in the southeast corner of the town. 3. About a kilometre outside of town, you'll find the copper mine in which you can get a guided tour. It's a fascinating place and well worth the €7 per adult. When you think of Tuscany, you generally think of rolling hills, of vineyards and olive groves, and of winding roads lined with cypress trees, which snake through fields dotted with fresh hay bales. What about a different Tuscany? The Garfagnana? The hills have been replaced by taller mountains. Rushing rivers wash their way through forested valleys, and you begin to wonder if you're even in the same country, let alone the same region. The bonkers-looking Ponte del Diavolo, also known as the Ponte della Maddalena, can be found in the valley spanning the river Serchio. It is certainly striking looking and is a wonderful photo opportunity on your way to the town of Bagni di Lucca a few kilometres to the northeast. Bagni di Lucca itself is a gorgeous river town spread over two sections of a bend in the river Lima. Some parts of it look a little Italian. In the more eastern larger section the architecture has a tiny bit of Germanic feel to it. You'll find some lovely river walks, a park to explore and of course the town itself in a wonderful setting. We've not eaten there yet, so do let us know in the comments if you've been and what you think of the food. Back to classic Tuscany we go, with a close personal look at the Val di Cecina. Andrea Bocelli was born and raised in a town called Asterza in the Comuna of Lajatico. Every year he holds a couple of concerts in late July to which a horde of people flock. The surroundings are amazing and there are many Instagrammable moments to be had among the tilled fields and farther hazy views. It gets absurdly busy around the time of the concerts, so it might be an idea to go another time. If the place isn't being used, parking is easy and free. Check out the open-air theatre, the landscape and the wonderful modern sculptures there. The theatre is next to Lajatico, an absolutely beautiful village, the buildings of which serve as an artist's canvas as much as their actual normal function. It stretches away from a central square, but even still an hour or two will do you for an explore. When the concert isn't on, it's super peaceful, but choose your dates carefully, or dining options may be a bit thin on the ground. June or September may be a good time to visit if you want warmer weather without crowds. If Volterra is a superb hub for exploring the Val di Cecina and central west Tuscany generally, then one can certainly argue that another V-town, Vicopisano, is a great hub for exploring Tuscany, as it's not too far away from the Fipili motorway, which links Livorno, Pisa and Florence. Indeed, if you have those three cities in mind to explore, but would like somewhere a little quieter with a real Tuscan feel, then this could be the place for you. Getting to the coast is a snip from here too. One notable feature is part of the fortification that remains, which was designed by Brunelleschi, yep, the same dude who designed the dome of the cathedral in Florence. Because it's not walled all the way around, the tall older town melts into the newer town until you reach its main modern square. You walk through history without even realising it. They make the best of the space too. Narrow staircases lead to tiny hidden gardens. There's a higher than average number of tower houses to be found here too. What really brought Vicopisano to our attention was their amazing collectors and hobbyists market, which is usually held the second Sunday of every month and is enormous. We have visited a couple of times to check that out alone. Check out Authentic Tuscany, friends of ours, if you think Vicopisano is the base for you. I'll leave a link in the description box. So that's it. Just some suggestions for you to help you decide how to spend more time in Tuscany. And there's so many more waiting for you over here. I hope you found this video useful. Let me know of any suggestions you've discovered on your own trips over. Thanks a lot and see you in the next one.